Do you have a Norwegian number? You use WhatsApp?
No, sorry, I don't. I don't.
Do you use email? Do you use electricity?
No, yeah, I do.
Do you have a very possessive boyfriend in Norway?
I have a boyfriend, yeah.
Your friend looks so stern. We're not gonna fuck around like this. We have. She has boyfriends. There are rules of conduct that have to be followed.
Yeah.
Are there really? Let's consider how guys generally perceive rejection, because it's always in this very extreme sense. To most guys, rejection means that she just wholeheartedly, completely disacknowledged you as a potential sexual partner. It's like this grand scale rejection of your entire core essence as a man. Like they see it as the girl saying, in not so many words, there is no way on God's green earth, in any capacity, under any circumstances, that you and I could ever engage in sexual intercourse. That's absurd, because in reality there are so many factors at play. So suppose a hot girl passes by and you're like, hey, I think you're hot, right? And she just keeps walking. You know, some guys will interpret that as a rejection. That's it. There is no way she would ever consider having sexual intercourse with poor me. It must be how I look. It must be because I'm bald.
What up, Casanova? Before we continue, I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on an exciting new product that's going to drop in the next couple of months that's going to teach you everything you need to know about approaching. So if you want to be the first to get notified and stay in the loop about any launch specials, then join the VIP list and sign up in the link in the description below. All right, now let's get back into it.
It must be because I'm an immigrant. It must be because I'm not rich. It must be because that is my destiny, to die alone. It's not like a girl is just going to stop when you say, hey, I think you're hot, and be like, oh, hey, thanks, let's chat. I mean, they don't consider the fact that it could have maybe something to do with the mechanics of the approach, something to do with their body language, with their vocal projection, or they talk to the girl and she has a boyfriend, but maybe she flirted with them. But then she still said she had a boyfriend and think, oh, that's it, she rejected me. Well, no, maybe she was actually into you on some level, but she just happens to be in a committed relationship, so she's not necessarily going to go out of her way to cheat. I mean, yeah, there are instances of that happening, but that's a whole other conversation. 2 seconds, where are you coming back from?
I'm from my friend's house.
2 seconds, I can't go too far. From your friend's house?
Home.
Why are you going home? Wait.
I'm going back to my boyfriend's.
Tell your boyfriend. Well, actually, don't tell him anything yet.
Okay.
But tomorrow, tell him that like you got carried away, and you know.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Thanks for the compliment on the glasses.
This is what we're gonna do. Wait, before you run off.
We're not gonna do it though.
Before you run off, okay? You seem pretty cool. I'm gonna grab your number. We'll meet up for tea.
I like how you're telling me what's gonna happen. It's very assertive, but it's not gonna happen. But
Are you in a very committed relationship with a
Yes.
very possessive boyfriend?
girlfriend.
Girlfriend. Look at you, so open-minded. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Or maybe the conversation was, you know, fairly on, and then you made some really obscene remark, right? Some really crass remark. And that really offended her. And you didn't know how to calibrate well, and she was like, all right, you know, it left a bad taste in her mouth, and she left. So, again, was that a rejection of you at your core as a man? Or was that you just miscalibrating, you know, a certain, you know, outer game principle? Some guys approach girls during the day and they're super faint, right? It's almost like they're apologetic or they're hiding the fact that they're into the girl. And they come off as like super incongruent or creepy. So, you know, their vibe is just off. So the girl just kind of like gets weirded out and leaves. again, what is that? Is that rejection? You know, what is rejection? It's such a fluid concept, right? Even when it does come to, you know, this notion of failure, right? Once we start breaking down the various components that comprise failure, we generally, you know, start to notice that a lot of it has nothing to do with our actual ego, with who we are at our core, because that in itself is an evolving, you know, identity. And guys start to just take these rejections and just attach them to their identity, and it just weighs them down instead of taking perspective on the situation, right? And just being more rational about things. I mean, you could meet the same girl on 2 different occasions, under different circumstances, when she's in an entirely different emotional headspace. You know, she's at a bar, maybe she's on the street, and have completely different results, a completely different interaction. Here, I'll pose once if you want. Really casually.
Really?
Look casual. Because actually, that's got to be candid, like we're having an argument over something.
No.
Yeah, like we're having an argument over something.
You're mad.
Yeah, I'm mad. You're mad. I wore. You wanted me to wear a green shirt? I wear like a purple shirt. Let me see your rage. Let me see the rage.
No,
What's your name?
I don't have a voice.
You don't have a voice?
No, I'm sick.
What happened to your voice,
I'm
man?
sick.
You're sick? You were drinking too many slushies.
Yes.
That's not good. That's not good. I'm angry with her.
Yeah, we gotta do the video.
All right, guys.
We're doing picture and video too.
All right, guys. I won't distract you.
Nice to meet you.
You can sometimes even have a completely different interaction at a venue over a span of maybe 15 to 20 minutes between the 2 instances. So maybe you try to open the girl as she's entering the nightclub with her friend, and she, you know, goes to the front of the line, and maybe you're standing somewhere around there, and you try to like talk to her and hit on her, and she kind of just like, you know, brushes you off. And maybe that's because she is very focused on making a good impression at the door with the bouncer. Maybe she knows the bouncer and doesn't want to lose face in front of the bouncer and, you know, give him the wrong sign that she's associating with some random guys and risk her chance of not getting in. Okay, but let's say half an hour later, you're in the venue and you approach her at the bar, it'll be a completely different dynamic, okay? Or it can be a completely different dynamic, right? It's obviously not guaranteed. You know, suddenly she's in a different headspace. She's not focused on getting in and saving face and blah, 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 and she's more at ease. So don't make this faulty assumption that these quote-unquote rejections are these absolute non-circumstantial events. But guys still take this shit personally. How can you possibly take something personally when the girl is not really rejecting you? She's rejecting the idea of you in that specific instance. She's rejecting your vibe. She's rejecting your vocal projections. She's rejecting the way you're dressed. She's rejecting your lack of persistence. She's rejecting your lack of confidence. She's rejecting your incongruence as a man. She's rejecting the fact that you're over-complimenting her. She's rejecting the fact that you're burdening her with questions, or that you're weirding her out with some kind of, you know, obscene sexual remarks. So all these factors or grounds on which you fail, you know, all these qualities that you failed to deliver in your interactions, they could all be cultivated, right? There's no reason to attach your ego to them. And sure, there are certain qualities that are outside of your control that you cannot necessarily change and will score you potentially fewer points with some girls than with others, and to varying degrees, you know, like your looks, your height, your race, a full head of hair, or being bald. And, you know, it depends on the girls, and, you know, they all have their own different weightings. And that's a very nuanced conversation that is for another video, but they're by no means the defining factors, and can often be also very circumstantial. So don't get hung up on them, and accept them for what they are, and concern yourself with cultivating those core masculine qualities, or, you know, outer game skills that will help you navigate social dynamics. Look, you need to start seeing this as one big game. You need to adopt a very light-hearted approach to this, right? Look at everything through this comedic lens, right? Where, you're just trying stuff out and you're playing around with all these principles and you're trying to grow yourself and, you're trying to see what works, what doesn't, right? Not taking everything to heart, right? That's what really helped me when I was learning to get good at this. I never attached my ego to this. Now, of course, that's a very extreme statement, right? We're all human, and to an extent, we are inevitably going to feel pain, and this whole journey is emotional. But the more you adopt this, lighthearted comedic attitude, the easier it's going to be. And a pragmatic attitude at that, where you're constantly trying to break things down and understand what is and isn't within my control, what is chance, what is failure, where are the overlaps, and what can I change? What can I influence?
Are you sharing an orange with me or what?
I'm sorry, I'm just on my break from work, so I'm kind of busy. Sorry.
Kind of what?
I'm busy. I'm on a break.
Oh, did you think I was going to sell you life insurance?
I wasn't sure.
What if I wanted to win your heart over and we could start an orange grove together?
No thanks.
In what's like a middle Central American country? In Costa Rica. All right, next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Rejection is good. It's great, in fact. Failure is great. Look, if you are failing a lot, that means that you're trying a lot out. That means that you're putting yourself out there. That means that you are on your way to improve yourself. And of course, you have to be smart as you go about this, right? You have to actually, exercise your brain and, draw conclusions, right? Deliberate practice versus regular practice. But the idea is that if you're playing it safe, if you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win, and avoiding these scary scenarios of rejection and getting hurt and failure, not putting yourself on the line, then you are going to fail to actually grow in the long term. Are you here for the dance party? Yeah. Wait 2 seconds. Commitment level 57%.
Es su amigo, nomás. Is your friend what? He's your friend?
Oh,
This guy.
which guy?
The one that has the camera.
No?
He's coming with you, of course.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Would you rather be the guy that talks to one girl and say you succeed with her, right? So it's 1 for 1. Or be the guy who talks to 100 girls but succeeds with only 20. So on the one hand, it's, 100% success rate. On the other hand, it's a 20% success rate. But you've hooked up with, connected with 20 girls. Not to mention the growth that you've achieved over the course of this, over the course of these 100 interactions, right? The skills you've learned, the perspectives you've gained, the values you've cultivated, right? The core qualities that you've cultivated. So rejection and failure is feedback. It's going to get you ever so closer to your core, true masculine self. Not just in pickup, in any capacity in life, whether it's in business or, learning to be a better tennis player or a poker player. Anyway, get out there, go fail faster, fail more, use the rejections as fuel, as energy to push you further, to be more consistent. Sometimes I say it's not so much the fear of the failure that we have, it's the fear of our inability to be consistent, to commit to this process where we go out there time after time after time again and take these blokes and get back up and use what we've learned and reapply it, and to propel us further and further along in the journey. Because if we fail to see the forest for the trees, if we attach ourselves to the results and not constantly remind us to be process-oriented, then we are doomed. We are doomed. So don't make that mistake ever. So to summarize, you need to start embracing rejection as part of the process, as part of the journey. And in order to do that, you need to differentiate between chance events and failure, what isn't and what is within your control. And as you get better and better at identifying what is within your control, you need to, isolate those instances or isolate those skills or qualities and work on them. You also need to become more of a procedural thinker as opposed to a circumstantial or results-based thinker, and not waste so much very important, useful energy on dwelling on things that are outside of your control. And lastly, you need to start seeing all of this through a more lighthearted lens. You know, even though there's going to be emotional turmoil along the journey, it's going to help to remind yourself that this is all one big joke. All right? You know, there's a good quote, I forget by who, but it says, "Life is a tragedy for those who feel and a comedy for those who think." Alright, Casanova, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you got value out of it, make sure to show us love, hit that like button, and hit the notification bell. So every time we put out new video, you get notified, because we're going to be making a lot more videos. And if you have any comments, put them in the comment section below, okay? So if you enjoyed something about video, or if you have questions or other topics you want us to cover, put them in there, we read all of them, alright? Thanks again, until next time.